This is David Leibowitz with Philosophy, Video Game Philosophy, and I just broke down the Persona 3 Reload trailer. I'm an expert on Carl Jung. I know the psychology. I've broken down these games' themes many times with Professor Cooper. We'll do more so in the future. And I think this track that plays in the trailer, which is a new Lotus Juice rap, this is not played before, has not been made by Lotus Juice before, perfectly encapsulates the themes of Persona 3, so I'm going to be spoiling Persona 3. If you haven't played it, sorry, this is spoiler time. Let's go. So, what we see here is the idea that in Persona 3, we have characters facing the idea of their death. Obviously, we have the possibility that the main character, Makoto, or Minako, the fantasy, is possibility that they're going to have to sacrifice themselves for everyone else. When we go towards life in a Nietzschean sense, or in a Jungian sense, we have to affirm it, no matter what. So let's see what else we get from that. Hardship. We get this a lot in Persona 5, especially Royal and Strikers, but it starts in Persona 3, and probably even before then, the notion of facing pain. When we face pain in our life, we need to just push through it. Because we have Takaya and the Strega, whose answer to the painful nature of existence is just, let's all die. Let's all just end. Life has lost meaning a long time ago, so let's just all allow Nyx, our mother, to kill us all, and let us self-destruct. But if I can't fight, our fall would be more of a pain. Because isn't there a fundamental pain to the death of the crux of of the creation of the world, especially in a Christian sense, or in a Jewish sense, or in many that the crux is like, if we all just died and said no, we would be foregoing God in a way. We'd be foregoing this life. We'd be foregoing what God took us to be, if you take this in a religious sense. So, especially if we think that God, in the sense of Hans Jonas, who is a Jewish philosopher, is trying to experience himself through each and every movement. This does not just mean every pleasure of a human pleasure. This is also every pleasure of even a bacteria, even a plant. Every single thing is God trying to experience himself. And I think this actually is perfect in the notion of Jung's psychology. So we have the collective unconscious, where we all have these archetypes, where we're able to understand ourselves through looking at symbols that are found in all these different cultures and have these resonance between these different cultures. But there's also a notion that that collective unconscious is in itself known as God. Jung calls it God at the end of his autobiography, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. Now, Jung's understanding of God is very ambiguous, how much he believes or not, what God he believes in. But he does say in an interview in the 50s, I believe, I don't believe I know. But in a sense, God in the collective unconscious is trying to experience himself and tell us through each and every movement. So if we were to perish, we would be failing God. Knowing that if I don't fight, I'll forever be moaning with pain. If I give up, that's an automatic loss for me. It's an automatic loss for me. If I give up, well, I'm going to succumb to my shadow. I'm going to succumb to my darker self that wants it all to end. I'm going to succumb to the death instinct that's going to let me die. It's going to... Yes, we're talking about suicide. If I give up on life, it's a loss for me. Automatically, especially when we automatically self-destruct in the case of apathy syndrome in Persona 3. It's all over. You gave up on life because you lost meaning. There's a bunch of enemies, and those enemies are you. They're all your shadows. They're all trying to tear you down. But if you let yourself in, if you integrate those enemies, if you both the inner and the outer, if you say yes and you trust the outer enemies, especially in Persona 4, Persona 5, you trust this out of people and allow them in, then you're going to find even more meaning in your life. So you have to let those enemies be you. That's, as I said in the last video, about how they fundamentally don't realize that shadows are part of us until the answer. It's weird. This is a Nietzschean concept, which, again, Jung loves Nietzsche. We take knockouts to understand the pain. If you get up, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Fundamentally, as much pain as we get, that allows us to live from the pain, to be better, to integrate. The individuation process that allows us to accept our shadow is not an easy one. Seeing our shadow is not an easy one. It's not like, oh, I just see my shadow and everything's fine. No. Look at Persona 4. Those characters, when they had to accept their shadows, was not an easy experience. It was very painful. It is painful to truly get at the meaning of existence. Our biological goal in life, especially according to the biological Jungian Edward Goodwin, is to find meaning in life. And that's what Persona 3 is about, the crisis of meaning, especially in Japanese society, which has lost touch with their Buddhist, a little bit Confucian, but definitely Shinto background with their idea. So that's why everything that's going on now is a Greek tragedy. It's a Greek, and what saves the Greek is Messiah, Christ. That Messiah might as well be the Antichrist, the Nietzschean Antichrist, or it's a new reinvigorated form of Jesus that adjusts to the new times, or really was the old Jesus all along. If you actually look at what Jesus said, say this as a Jew. State of no faith. No faith in life. We need this. This is ultimately about faith. Or it's actually about a Nietzschean sense that we give up on faith and we go towards ourselves and go towards the hope and the affirmation of life. Like a spring tea. A spring tea might actually be a slight little nod to the tea we have in the beautiful sakura trees in Japan in spring, the reinvigoration of the Japanese culture, the no faith, maybe even towards the Zen Buddhist idea that it's about the inner power, not the outer power. So we look into ourselves, and when we realize that enlightenment is just under our fingertips, is just in a follower of the Buddha in the Zen tradition, finds enlightenment in a flower, in everything in existence, that is where it is. It is fundamentally in our lives. We don't have to look outward. It's sort of it's either both and or both, a rebelling and an integration of the Western tradition, but also realizing that the Eastern tradition has its value in this game. There's no guarantees in life. If life was easy, if life was painless, then there wouldn't be any problems, and everything would be fine. But would a painless life be good? No. Of destiny. Destiny is the main character does a very good thing towards their destiny, sacrifices themselves for everyone else, so everyone else can keep on going with their lives. And even though the games going forward, life isn't easy. We got P5 where we got life struggles, especially, and that keeps on going, especially if we got Phantom X now. So the mobile game, life is still struggling, but we keep on going, and we keep on facing life. And we find meaning in our lives. Who knows what I'll be? Who knows what we'll be in life? We can't guarantee anything. Who knows where we'll be? Especially when we get to the answer and we see what the characters are doing, struggling with the death of their best friend, of their leader. We integrate our bonds, especially in this case of Japanese society where this collectivist mindset is highly important to our lives, to their lives. Shiawase, this is interbeing. Happiness is from the connections we make, and that's why the social link system is so important, because we find meaning through the bonds we make with others, which is very cliche as it goes on, but it's still highly important to Japanese culture, and to human existence in general. But then you got Strega who are doing bad stuff and want to end meaning in life. But we gotta thwart them. We gotta thwart Strega. We gotta thwart people who want to end existence. Forever the best. We'll be forever going forward in our lives and accepting we'll be affirming life. All right. This has been David Leibowitz with Philosophy of Video Game Philosophy. I have a Discord server. Look in the comments in my description down below, and you will see that there is a Discord server. We actually are finishing up and talking about Jung's undiscovered self. You'd have to do some reading to join the book club, but we got a nice little community, and we'd love to liven it up. Again, I'm so happy with all the new subscribers and love, especially towards the Guilty Gear stuff. Hopefully the Persona stuff here gets some love too. That would be great. Again, give a subscribe, give a like. I don't usually like to say this, but do that. And next time, for real, we will be doing Testaments then. Peace.